Good morning, Merry Christmas. Welcome to Sacred Enzyme. I'm Stacy. I hope you're doing well today. Hope you have a wonderful day planned with family and friends and lots of good times and good food and good memories. So today I want to talk a little bit about Atlantis because I've been thinking so much about this, and I've been reading this other book by Lewis Spence called The History of Atlantis. And it's really interesting. Man, I'll tell you what, you got to go on to the online library archives, and it's like, I think they call it the Wayback Machine too. You can read any book there for free. All you got to do is sign up, and man, they got some great selections on there. You can read the Voyagers books on there. Otherwise, if you try to buy them, they're like $2,000 a piece, up to $2,000 a piece. I mean, wow. But I have heard through the grapevine that RHeia Dean is in the process of reprinting the Voyager books so we can get them for $22 again. So when they come back for $22 is when I'll buy a hard copy. So there's a couple things that I try to listen to everybody's work openly. And then I use my own my own intuition and whatever I feel. And what's funny is that I have a crystal in this watch, and sometimes when I'll have an epiphany thought, this thing will thump and I'll feel it on my wrist. I will feel this crystal thump my wrist, and it's so interesting that it does it, just thump my wrist. So there's a couple things that I personally feel that are different than the way that RHeia Dean describes them in her lectures about Atlantis and Lemuria. And I've recently come across a couple other people that also, they've also alluded to the fact that I might actually be onto something. So I talked about in one of my older videos that I thought that Atlantis was started by a queen, that it was a continent that was ruled by women. Because a lot of these people that do this work, they say that Atlantis was a masculine, warlike continent. But, I have this feeling inside that that was not the case. This is, and so it's today, to wrap up the year, I'm going to make this prediction about Atlantis, and we'll see if it comes to pass. So I really feel like, because I'm remembering other lifetimes, is that Atlantis was actually what they say Lemuria is. That Atlantis was female. It was female. It was run by a goddess. And I think it was Tethys, Tethys, or it was RHeia, RHeia. And the reason I say that is because RH, blood, RHeia, RHeia. I mean, is that coincidental? I don't think so. Something's telling me that has something to do with it. The RH has to do, in RHeia, has to do with the blood. But I really feel like Atlantis was originally women. And then what happened was we had these extraterrestrial races that came here, and they were predominantly men. And they started having sex with these women. And this is what happened to Atlantis. This is how we had the takeover of Lucifer. And maybe Lucifer was the one that seduced this Atlantean goddess. I mean, isn't Lucifer the seductionist, right? But I think they introduced sex. They introduced sex in Atlantis. And then we got these genetic things that started happening, and then these other people, they wanted to start having sex too. So then we had people that were writing contracts in their blood and making blood oaths. And I mean, these blood oaths that are on our these overlays from these blood oaths that are on our karmic line and our DNA lines, I really feel like goes all the way back to all this time ago when we had the Luciferian rebellion and Atlantis fell, like 45,000 years ago. I truly do. I think it all had to do with sex. See, they used to be androgynous, and then they separated the sex, and I think that was all all of it kind of had to do with this time around with this genetic experimenting. They separated them because they would constantly be seeking their counterpart. You know, like if you pull two magnets apart, you know, these magnets are always looking for a polar opposite to connect to. And so that's what happened when they divided the male from the female. And I'm not sure exactly if they did that because they were trying to make reproduction easier because we were in a material realm, or if they did it because it was one of the first steps in the manipulation of the morphogenetic field by interbreeding that we ended up having. You know, maybe it was when they were doing their budding or their genetic experiments. I'm not sure. But I really feel like that all of these characters they talk about, like Poseidon and all these are all real. These were all real people. And you know, the other interesting thing is that when you start talking about Tethys and you start talking about RHeia, they start talking about the symbolism of this serpent horse, this horse upper body and then a serpent rear. And so this is where I think we're getting into this whole serpent stuff. And how we got into the serpent stuff is because we had the divine mother goddess who was a horse serpent. This is why they worship the hippopotamus, because this thing was like called a hippocampus or something like that. It was like hippopotamus, but slightly different hippocampus. And maybe this is where we get the portion in our brain called the hippocampus or the hippocampus, something like that. There's a portion in our brain that almost sounds just like hippopotamus. So I'm thinking that this is the divine mother, how we ended up getting this divine mother soul type connection with our glands. It goes back to this time. And this was our portion of us that got the divine Atlantean mother. And, you know, because she came from Gaia. And then, and we talk about, and see, the interesting thing is Tethys' father was Uranus. And then we have the RHeia books. And then we have the first city on the planet that was And so, I mean, this is really interesting. So there's got to be some truth to the RHeia books, right? I mean, see, there's something to be read and learned in every single one of these books. Even if all these books are pushing an agenda, in which we've all talked about this. I mean, it's hard to say that, you know, that some of these Kalantic teachings don't have a slight agenda to them too, because, you know, they talk about our galactic origins and wars and things we've been through. And us as humans, it's hard not to read those and kind of get like, okay, well, this person, you know, you get kind of in a blame game. And see, this is not what this is about. We have to step outside of the blame game. Everybody made mistakes, and we've lived thousands and thousands of lives here. But, you know, as far as our history goes, we're all waking up to our history and remembering our history. But I do remember Atlantis being run by the mother goddesses, and there were a lot of her, and a lot of her, like, she was a mother of all of these water nymphs. And there were hundreds and hundreds of these water nymphs. And see, these were like these healers. They were like healers. They would sing these light codes and stuff. And there's one of them that is, they're so close. She's so close to this in human form. She was on the 1111, and I recognized her instantaneously. She's totally Atlantean. She's a friend of Neil Arcturus that has the Portal to Ascension channel. And she was on there, and she was staying at his house, and then she was in Spain. I guess he lives in Spain, I'm not sure. But she wanted to go to the water, and this was at Thanksgiving time. She wanted to go be by the water at Thanksgiving. And so she wanted to have some alone time. But she was doing her portion on here, and she went through some light codes, and she did some healing stuff. And man, I could totally remember her. Whether she must have been one of these goddess nymphs. They had, you know, because everything was in water in Atlantis, and this is why it was partially water, is because you had people that were part water beings, if that makes sense. They existed partly in the water, and they exist, and others existed partly on land, because this was an amalgamation. Like I said, this wasn't just like you had some beautiful white women on an Atlantis. It was not like that. This is genes. This was a group of people that had just diverse appearances, colors, morphinogenic placement was all over the place. You had people that were, the Atlanteans were all half like water people. They were all half like fish people. So they either had like serpent tails or they had fish tails, and they had humanoid parts, because, we had all of these groups that had originally come here when we had the fall of Tara. And so this is why we're going to ascend into 5D. That we won't, when the planet is, because we're in the ascension cycle, when we ascend, if we don't fall, and get sucked into this black wormhole matrix system that's set up, that's siphoning the energy off of our planet, and our biophotons is what they're milking from us, so, if we can get to a certain level of consciousness on the planet, first of all these lower dimensional beings will not be able to exist here. They'll have to leave, because the resonance will be too high. See, if the planets are not in resonance, they can't exist here. See, this is why they're trying to lower the resonance, is because they want to stay here. And we're all just getting sucked down the drain, but we got to get out of that. See, if we can change the way that we are, we change the whole planet, and they can't exist here. And this is the bottom line. But we can also ascend up into a higher level of consciousness. And we can make, like, Earth, we can make this just I don't even know how to describe it, is that we can make this a golden age better than the last golden age. Because some of the souls that are here on this planet are so highly evolved. It's like we've already done this song and dance one time, and we're not effing it up again. Folks, this is the way I feel about it. I'm here, I'm awake. And Lemuria was masculine energy. It's kind of like, I don't know if any of y'all are ever old enough to remember, there was a show on TV in the 70s, and it was called Tarzan. And he used to go to the Amazon, the women, Amazon women, and they lived on this island, and it was nothing but these big, big women. And see, this was Atlantis. These were all, all these women goddesses, and they were big. And, I'm starting to wonder if that hand that reached in my ceiling and pulled that archon, or whatever you want to call that thing, that bug, demonic, necromaton type creature off of me with these 2 fingers, it was this enormous hand that came through the corner of the ceiling and picked it off of me. I'm wondering if that was like one of my Atlantean ancestors, or one of my versions of my Atlantean self that's existing in inner Earth. That's the only thing I could think of, because all this stuff that's happened to me is not figments of my imagination. I had this huge hand reach in my roof. I had this thing on me. I've encountered beings from other dimensions. I've been to other dimensions. I astral travel with my mother. My siblings come and we astral travel to my mother, to give her messages. This is not my imagination. This stuff's really happening to me. This bird lady that I see, when I was with my mother, these beings that come and talk to me, and they look like they're talking through like, like gelatin or water. Well, I guess they would be. They're talking to me through an energy field, which does look like water now that I'm learning that. And, these are probably beings from the Pleiades. Because we've all been through there. See, we've all just followed this path. We've all, you can just pretty much bank on the fact that you've been through half the solar system and you've been stuck on Earth for a while. We all have. So, So I just, I just thought that was interesting. And, the other thing is that they say that Tethys is also considered Saturn. And then you have all the stuff that ties in with Saturn and Satan. And so I'm thinking, okay, this really needs, we got to pick this apart more. So I'm going to keep listening to this book. I was supposed to have class this morning, and I think that my teacher just got the days wrong, because he said Wednesday, and I said, well, it's Christmas, but yeah, okay, I can have class this morning, because I thought we were changing our schedule for the holidays. But maybe it was just a communication error. I don't know. But I gotta get my recipes done. I gotta get my things done for dinner today. So, what do you guys think of that? It says that Tethys in Greek mythology is a Titan daughter of Uranus and Gaia, a sister and wife of the Titan Oceanus, and the mother of the river gods in the Oceanids. But also, she's also related to Poseidon too. It says right here that Tethys is in. It says that she's related to Prometheus. She's the wife of Geryon, Clementine. The wife of Lepidus, the mother of Atlas. She's the mother of Atlas, the mother of Menoetis, Prometheus, and Epimetheus, and Perseus, wife of Helios, the mother of Circe and Attis. But she's also related to Poseidon. And all of these characters are, let's see, because she has become the primordial mother of all of these water deities. The primordial mother Tethys is, not Tethys, excuse me. Let me start back over here. Okay, Gaia and Uranus, they had all of these children. And Tethys, I believe, is a sibling of Poseidon. This is why you had all of these deities that are associated with Atlantis. Because you had this mother-father, right? You had Uranus, right? And then if the RHeia books are based on teachings that I think come from Sirius A, that's why we have a kind of a superiority type thing here. And then we have Gaia, which essentially I think might be the Pleiades and Sirius B. And then you have an amalgamation, because you almost have light and dark, a little bit of polarity here. And I think this is how this all starts. We start with bringing polarity to the planet. And then when all of these other entities come, and they introduce these codes that cause problems in the sequence, then you end up starting to have these wars. But we have all of these deities that come, and we have all of these nymphs that come during this time. We've got the most important ones is we've got Triton, we've got Oceanus, we've got Poseidon, Proteus, Tethys, and then you've got all of the water nymphs. And so, and then you had, from that, you had a lot of these genetic experiments that were done when the Anunnaki came, and they infiltrated this Atlantean civilization, and I think it had to do with sex. And what ended up happening was they were taking these different DNAs and they were mixing them. And so this is how you end up with like mermaids and all these kind of things. And it came during this time. All this stuff happened during the Luciferian Rebellion. And it all had to do with sex. My prediction of 2024 for Atlantis. Atlantis was a feminine planet. And they also, and this is also why we have all these place names in Florida. We got Heliopolis, We got Hesperides. We have these nymphs. We got the golden apples. Well, all this stuff. See, this is where this is connecting into Florida. So, I mean, we go right back to we're going right back into a circle here. The circle. The serpent eating its tail. So with that, Merry Christmas. When you come and find me, I'll be here living in past, present, future, all at the same time. This one here wants to go outside because Dad's outside getting the smoker ready. So with that, I hope to catch you on the next one. Have a wonderful day and lots of love to you. Goodbye.